Donna Schwartz here from DonnaSchwartzMusic.com, the site for practical solutions and tips for solving common music performance problems. Today is October 6th. Thanks for joining me. If you're joining me for the first time, check out my website at DonnaSchwartzMusic.com. I've got a lot of great instructional videos there. Check out the free stuff tab, and you'll see there's a whole bunch of things underneath there under common solutions and practical tips and such. So today, what I wanted to talk about, there were a bunch of really great questions. I'm going to get to most of them. I'm going to save one great question for next week. Today I wanted to talk about mouthpiece pitches, do a couple of mouthpiece exercises, and there was one really great question about memorizing tunes. How do you do it, you know? So I wanted to focus on that today. So first things first, this is going to be basically saxophone oriented, but this is great for music teachers because with your students, after they've developed a good sound on their instrument, you do want to start having them do mouthpiece exercises. Now, here's the thing, with a lot of the student instruments, with the rental instruments, especially if you buy a new instrument, if it's a student model, you get a stock mouthpiece. Most stock mouthpieces are fine. You know, that there's nothing wrong with them. Some aren't. Some, the mouthpieces are not made with good quality, and the reed doesn't seat well on it. Hey, Deleton, the reed doesn't seat well on it, and what happens is the student's sound is not good, it's all over the place, whatever. So, you know, what I would say is follow these exercises, and you're going to know if your students are not able to reach these basic pitches on the mouthpiece after, you know, a couple of weeks of attempting to do so with good technique, then it may be time for them to change their mouthpiece from a stock mouthpiece to something a little bit better. I've found that the Yamaha stock mouthpieces are awesome. They really are. Most people tend to go, if they do step-ups, they'll go to Meyer mouthpieces, Selmer C-Stars, great mouthpieces, okay? So, someone asked, what's a good introductory note? And I didn't know what his question meant. So I asked him, he said, introductory note on the mouthpiece to know if the horn is in tune. I think what he means is this. What is the proper pitch to reach on the mouthpiece? And that's not going to determine whether the horn's in tune, but whether or not you're able to get that mouthpiece to work well with you. Quote of the day, you want to control the reed. You don't want it controlling you. So the first step is to make sure that you can control the reed on the mouthpiece alone. All right, so I've got my alto mouthpiece. I recently did a switch, and I've got a Theo Wana Durga 3. Awesome, awesome mouthpiece. So on the alto sax, the pitch that you would like to achieve on the mouthpiece is concert A, A5 actually. That's an alto sax F sharp. There's the sound. Now, two things. Number one, you noticed how I played the pitch first. Okay, I used my handy-dandy Korg 1984 tuner metronome. You don't want to just blindly play and see what comes out. You need to be able to hear the pitch first. So if your students or you are not able to play this pitch, that's a concert A, on your mouthpiece, the first thing may be that you're not hearing the pitch. And the way to help that is to play it on a keyboard or on a tuner. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, yes, Deleton, yes, I hope I'm saying your name right. Yeah, I'm using a Jazz Lab silencer. This is great. You know, when you play the mouthpiece by itself, it's fun. Sounds like a big party toy, though. And it could be distracting. It could, if you're living in an apartment, that could be really tough. If you have dogs, the high sound of this can really, really upset them. Okay, I've got 3 dogs, and I see that one of my greyhounds gets very upset and he starts digging holes in the backyard. So I try, when I can, to use the Jazz Lab silencer. This is great for all saxophones and clarinets. Okay, well worth the price. Definitely Google Jazz Lab silencer. Good stuff. So yes, on the mouthpiece, alto, contrare. Now, I'm going to show the pitches for the tenor and for the bari too. Here's one exercise you can do. Just hold a straight pitch. Okay, hear the pitch first. So I'm going to play the pitch. Hear it in my head. I'm actually going to sing it. The next thing I'm going to do is a bend. So first I'm going to hear the initial pitch, I'm going to sing the bend, and then I'm going to play it. So. Why am I singing into the mouthpiece? Because I want to see how my oral cavity, how my throat is voicing the note. Okay? And I want to imitate the same thing when I play it on the mouthpiece. So that's one quick exercise that you can do. You certainly should hold out a pitch for as long as you can on the mouthpiece. And I'd recommend definitely one bend. Another thing, I'm just thinking about this now, that you can do. Are what I call articulation patterns. A lot of times a big problem with our sound isn't just producing the sound, it's getting it to sound clear, and articulation is a big part of that. If you check out my website, you're going to see some videos on how articulation affects our sound. Okay, and I've done some past Facebook Live videos with regard to that. So doing some articulation patterns is really important. Now I'm going to put my alto mouthpiece down. I'm going to change the Jazz Lab silencer out for the tenor portion of the program. And I'm going to put my tenor mouthpiece on. For tenor, it's concert G, which is our A. Here's the sound. Singing it. Now, obviously, you're not usually able to sing that high. For some freakish thing of nature, I could sing that high. I should have auditioned for the Chipmunks. But anyway, if you can't sing that high, just sing an octave lower. For guys, use your falsetto voice. Okay? You know what I'm talking about. Use your falsetto voice. Don't sing down here. You're not matching the voicing that way. You want to go to the limits of your range for the most part. If it's a high note, you want to get as close to that high note as you possibly can. I'll do a bend. I'll get the pitch first. Okay, just doing that one bend is going to really, really help develop an awareness of your oral cavity. Now I'll do some articulation patterns. The ones I did in alto were in triple meter, so I was feeling 3 small beats for every big beat. Now I'll do it in duple meter, so I'm going to feel 2 small beats for every big beat. Okay, shake that out. Now the other thing I wanted to talk about as I'm doing the switch over to the bari is this, articulation. Think about what part of your tongue is hitting the reed. And there's a simple way to figure this out. Just say the word to. Don't emphasize the T so much, but say the word to. Notice what part of your tongue hits what part of your teeth when you say to. Most people it's the tip, some people it's the front. Not the middle. That's too clunky, the front. Now, when you're articulating, On the mouthpiece, you want to think the word two, but you're going to go two, 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 two. Notice what part of your tongue touches the tip of the reed, not the bottom, the tip. That's important, okay? Let me just take a break for a moment. Hey, if you're watching this live, please share it. Take a second, just share it quickly along the social media networks and stuff like that. The more live viewers, the better it is, the more I can answer your questions and stuff like that. So, let me get this set up over here. For me, I alternate between the tip and the front of my tongue, but I'm always touching the tip of the reed, okay? All right, so I've got a Barry sax mouthpiece here, and on the Barry, the pitch is going to be concert. This is where it's really bizarre. It could be concert D or concert E flat or D sharp, however way you want to look at it. It's D or D sharp 5, the 5th octave. So here's the sound. One simple bend, a couple of articulation exercises. I just don't have this tight enough, that's why I'm holding this not so great. Normally I don't hold on to the reed when I'm playing the mouthpiece. I don't want to stifle the reed from vibrating. Okay, so I did some articulation patterns in triple. And that's that. Okay, so those are the pitches that are common for getting on the mouthpiece to make sure that you have a good sound and all that kind of thing. If for some reason, and this is really more true, I'm finding with alto sax players. I teach a lot of beginners of all ages. And when they're first trying to play the mouthpiece, they play really way higher than that concert A pitch. Again, it could be a stock mouthpiece issue. It also could be the mouthpiece is not right for them too. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's stock mouthpiece or not. This is this Barry sax mouthpiece is basically a stock mouthpiece. I mean, it's a Rico Graftonite B5. I consider that a stock mouthpiece. But you know, that mouthpiece might not be right for them. So it's something to think about. Okay, so now the next question was. Any tips for memorizing tunes? Okay, here's what I'm going to say about that. I'm going to shut my tuner off for a second here. Everybody, a lot of people ask this question about memorizing tunes. I'm going to just say this outright. There is no magic pill. There's no magic solution for being able to memorize a tune like that. A lot of people think, oh, it's so easy, there's got to be some, quick solution. No, there isn't. The best way to memorize a tune, I don't care what it is, whether it's a tune or a solo, classical piece, it doesn't matter. The first step, you've got to listen to it. You've got to listen to a performance of it over and over and over and over again. Do you agree? I hope so. All the jazz masters have done that. All the classical masters have done that. A little background story, when I grew up, I played trumpet. I still play trumpet now. And in New York, we had something called the NISMA Solo Festivals. So every spring, students would play a solo scale sight reading in front of an adjudicator, a judge, and they'd get a score and comments. And I used to get very, very nervous before I'd perform. I mean, I'd pace the floor for hours and all that other kind of stuff. But one of the things that I did back then, and not realizing it, was I really got to know the music. I didn't just pick a piece the month before or 2 months before and, hope that I played it well. I knew I had some really talented friends that were 2 years older than me, and I listened and I watched what pieces they picked to play for the NISMA solo stuff. And I kind of followed along the same path because they picked really good tunes, really good pieces, I should say. And so I knew the year before what I was going to do. And when I got up into the higher level pieces like level 5 and 6, there were recordings available. Now, I'm talking back before there were even CDs. We're talking cassettes, unfortunately. But what I would do, I would pick those very famous trumpet solos where the classical music station, WQXR, great station, they would broadcast their program schedule the week before, and you could see it in the paper. And I would look and scour it and see when, like the Haydn Trumpet Concerto, if there was a recording, a performance coming up, the Hummel Trumpet Concerto, all those types of things. So I would look for that, and every time I heard on the radio, I'd actually tape it off the radio. What I was doing in searching out these recordings, I was listening to other masters perform it. And not just one particular person. I'd listen to Maurice Andre, Phil Smith, Håkan Hardenberger, Wynton Marsalis, all really good players. And I get not only the sound of the piece in my head, I also got the accompaniment in my head. I also got the nuances, the style of the performer in my head. And I'd constantly be listening. To the point, I never got sick of listening to this stuff. But to the point where, when I played it and I was learning it, I was reading the music at first, but I didn't need the music very soon because it was up here. Okay, and that's the thing. A lot of people approach memorizing tunes, they approach it, there's two ways to approach it. You've got written music down, you sit there, you learn the written music, and then you look at the first 4 bars, you play it a lot, and then you look away and see if you memorized it. You could do it that way. I don't know, to be honest with you, how much of that is going to get internalized. I don't know, what do I mean by that? If you're really memorizing it, or it's sort of like cramming for a test, it's not a great idea to cram for a test. You don't really retain that information. I think we all know that, and we've all done it too. I mean, how many people have crammed for a test, and then as soon as the test is done with, boom, the information goes out of your head. But if you internalize something, if you really, really, truly understand the piece, not just your part, all the parts of it, and you're hearing it in your head, you're going to memorize it more. So the one way, like I mentioned, you're reading the music, you're playing it, and then you look at the first 4 measures or the first phrase, you play it, you look away, see if you got it memorized, you keep doing that over and over again. For some people that works, and that's fine. Another way to do it would be, let's say you do the written music, you're playing it through, but you've heard the recording a million times, okay? You've listened to it a million times, and you're playing along with the recording, and every time that you play that music, once you've got the technique down, you're playing along with the recording, in time, you're not going to be able to need to look at the music, it's just going to be there. So, the best way to memorize tunes is to listen to recordings, not just one person, a whole bunch of people, get the whole tune in your head, not just the melody. You want to try to also hear the chord changes. You may not hear every single chord change or know what every single chord change is. It's good if you do, but if you don't, listen for the bigger picture, okay? That 1, it's eventually going to a 5, and that 5 is eventually going to a 1. That's the bigger picture. So if you can get the overall big picture going on there, in addition to getting the melody down, listening to what the bass player's playing, all the nuances, all that kind of stuff, you're going to internalize it more. Now, another way to memorize tunes is to not look at the music at all and truly learn it by ear, which means that you need to, hey Cohen, I'm looking down, I'm looking at the comment, I'm looking down, and it looks ridiculous to you. Anyway, by the way, Donna Schwartz here from DonnaSchwartzMusic.com. Check out my website, sign up. You get free weekly practice tips. Those people that sign up know, I over-deliver. I give you sometimes too much stuff. That's just what I do. Anyway, check out my website. If you're on live, please share this around. The more people that are on live, if you have questions, I can answer them. It's awesome. It's interactive. So anyway, what I think the best way to memorize a tune is to learn it by ear. Thanks for the hands thing going on there. Memorize it by learning it by ear. So, in other words, like let's say you want to learn all the things you are, right? Boy, did I sing that really low. Yikes. All right, anyway, if you wanted to memorize something like that, hear the song many, many times. Get it burned in your ear. And then figure it out. Now, you don't have to figure out the whole song at once. Figure it out a few measures at a time. As you're figuring it out, try to listen to the bass line. Okay, listen to what the bass player's doing. They're going to be basically outlining the chords. So once you've got a good portion of the melody down, go back, check out what the bass player's doing, try to figure that out on your horn, okay, or whatever instrument you're playing, and then put that together. Then keep going on and on with the melody. And then once you've got the melody down, keep playing it over and over. Play it with background music. Okay, that I found was the key with me with my Nisma solos on trumpet. I was constantly playing along with background music, and I was pretending as if I was Maurice Andre. I was pretending as if I was Håkan Hardenberger. I was pretending as if, okay? Because when you're playing, the bell's out here. When you're playing saxophone, the bell is kind of faced away from you. When you're playing, you're building up compression in your head, so you can't totally hear. You don't really know exactly what you sound like. And that's why we always say to people, record what you're playing. But when you're playing along with stuff, it's best, or when you're playing at all just in general, it's best to pretend as if you're the best player that you're thinking of, and go from there. If you base your playing on what you're hearing from the bell, you're reacting. That playing happened already, okay? You're too late. You're better off creating up here and pretending as if. So learn your tunes by ear. It takes longer, yeah, but you know what? Actually, no, I'm going to scratch that. It doesn't take longer. I feel it takes longer when you're looking at a piece of music and you're sitting there without any recording and you're playing it, there's no context, and you're trying to sit there memorizing like 4 measures at a time. That's hard. To me, that's really hard. Hey, Tony, I find that's harder to memorize a tune that way. There's a disconnect there. You're not connected with the tune. You're not feeling it. You're not understanding it. So when I played like a lot of shows also, especially in New York, when I was playing like shows that were, I don't want to call it scripted, but we went one song into the other, and we did tribute stuff and all that kind of thing. I had to memorize my stuff, and the way I did it, once I got it down, once I got my parts down by ear, I would consistently play along with the rehearsal tracks that we did every week. It's to the point where I owned it. I owned it. What do I mean by that? I just owned the song. I knew it was coming up. I knew the chords, knew my parts, knew how they fit in, knew what the other folks were doing. Okay, so that's really key. Hey, Carlos. So when you're memorizing tunes, like I said before, there is no magic pill. I can't give that to you. If I could, I'd be making millions of dollars, and I'm certainly not. You have to put the work in. But why not be sensible? Why not be sensible and start to learn them by ear? Now, I'm not just talking about jazz tunes. My story is about classical music. I did it with the classical music. Now, the thing is this, with the classical music, you're going to probably start off with reading the music. And that's fine too. But you want it as quickly as you can, after you learn the technical aspects of the piece, get away from it and start playing along with background tracks. There's something really awesome out there that wasn't around, when I was growing up. It's called smart music, because it's smart. Smart music is, it is really smart. It's background accompaniment music. There's Jamie Aebersold books in there. There are many, 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 many classical solos in there. There's classical method books in there, mostly for beginners. I'm not going to line, it's mostly for beginners. But there's a wealth of information in there. And the cool thing, you can use that accompaniment software on your computer. You'll play along with it. But if you want it to follow you, you buy the microphone from Smart Music, attach it to your horn, plug it in, and it follows you. So if you slow down for a little bit, it's going to follow you. If you speed up a little bit, it's going to follow you. Now, I'm not advocating that you don't play in good time, but as a classical musician, when you're doing phrasing, you're going to sometimes slow down at the end of a phrase and then pick it up again for the next phrase. It will follow you. That's freaking awesome. Okay, so definitely check out Smart Music. There's also other play-alongs. There's obviously the Jamie Aebersold play-alongs. There's the Hal Leonard play-along series. They've got great books out there that are really freaking awesome. the Jim Snydero books with the jazz etudes and stuff like that. Even the Lenny Niehaus books, I think, come with an accompanying CD. Use the CD. Use it. Okay, I found a lot of my beginning students, I'll say, okay, let's get this book. It's got an accompanying CD, and use the tracks as you're playing. Well, when I was teaching in public schools in New York, I'm thinking, why aren't you using the CD tracks? It doesn't make sense. It was laziness. It was absolute laziness. You know, so if you got a resource there, use it. It's only going to help you. So for memorizing tunes, if you have to use the, visual route at first, do that, but make sure you listen to the tune a million times or listen to the piece a million times so you have context for it. It's not cheating. It's not telling you how to play the tune, okay? It's giving you the nuances, the style, tempo, all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm surprised no one asked me this question. Donna, but the tempo's too fast for me to play along with. Great question. Okay, here's what you can do. Listen to the tune at tempo 1.5 million times. Then what you can do is work on the tune at your own speed, but you're going to have that context up here. There's some other great tools that you can use. There's something called Best Practice, which is on Windows. It's not on Mac as far as I know, and as far as I know it's free. Okay, my students told me about that one. But there's also the Amazing Slowdowner, and that's for both Mac and Windows. The Amazing Slowdowner costs a little bit of money, but I found some of like the concert and contest solo books. I've noticed that they come with CDs and they also come with that Amazing Slowdowner software. That's a steal, because if I remember right, I think I paid $20 for it. Well worth it though. Use that software. You import in the MP3 track for your piece, your jazz tune, whatever, and slow it down. And you'll always have background music to what you're performing. Okay, so that's another way to help you to memorize the tune. And you could do it at your own speed, at your own tempo. Okay, so hopefully I answered Donna's question. Okay, so I've been speaking for a long time here. I don't want to, chew away your ears too much longer. I do this every week, the Facebook Lives. Looks like Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is going to be pretty much the time. So please join me, spread it around. If you have any questions, go to my Facebook page, Donna Schwartz Music, facebook.com/Donna Schwartz Music. And also, if you have any questions, whatever, put them there. Sign up for my website at donnaschwartzmusic.com. Right now, the freebie is 3 tips to fatten up your saxophone tone. And there's usually what I do. I don't just give you that one freebie. There's some surprise things in there as well. Stuff to help you with your practicing. Interviews with some awesome people. I am a radio show host on the BAM Radio Network, and by the way, my last series of interviews have been with Nick Manella from the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast and Inside the Saxophone Mind podcast. Great podcast. You've got to check them out. The 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, every week he comes out with some more either patterns or tips to help your jazz playing. And it's not just saxophone players, it's everybody. So if you're a band director, you should be listening to that. That's going to give you some tips to help your students to improvise, okay? So I give out all that information. And when you sign up, you get exclusive information, practice tips, all that kind of jazz. Okay, Cohen writes, and I think, the Amazing Slowdowner has a free test version too, but it doesn't play the entire track. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, so you could test it out. That's awesome. Definitely check out. So some of the things I talked about, Amazing Slowdowner, just Google it. Best Practice, only on Windows though. I don't think there's one on Mac. You can correct me if I'm wrong. That would be awesome if I'm wrong. Those are things to help slow down tracks. There's other things too. I know there's apps out there. Everybody's so phone-based right now. I'm old school. I still deal with the desktop type of thing. I can't respond to YouTube comments only on my desktop, and I don't know what's up with that. Maybe someone can help me with that. But that stuff, just Google those things. There are apps, like I said, to slow down things. But the other thing, the Jazz Lab silencer. Okay, I'm not an endorser, but like I always say, if I find a product that I think is awesome, I'm going to promote it. This is freaking awesome because it really cuts down the sound on your saxophone or clarinet mouthpiece substantially. And if you live in a situation like an apartment building or people are not appreciating your music, this really helps. Also, like I mentioned, I've got 3 dogs, and apparently one of my greyhounds is not too happy with the mouthpiece. So I have to use this, or else he starts digging holes in the backyard, which is, believe me, not very pleasant. Okay, and the other resource that I'm going to mention as well, and you see this all the time on me, is my Van Doren FNH 100 harness. This thing is amazing, okay? I'm a short person, vertically challenged. It's not bad being short. It isn't. But anyway, and I have very narrow shoulders. I've tried tons of harnesses, and they just don't fit me. This fits perfectly. The reason I got sold on this, one of my student teachers in New York, much bigger guy, I think he was like 6'3" or something like that, he was using it for his alto, but he was showing me that he got this because he plays bari. So he stuck a bari sax on this harness for me. I didn't feel it. I'm not lying. I did not feel the weight of that horn. That was unreal. I was sold right then and there. This is great because what it does, it takes the weight totally off your neck. I was getting lumps in the back of my neck from my neck straps, from the stress and the tension. And this, it's gone. I don't get those lumps anymore. So just another resource for you. All right. So we're at the end of our Facebook Live session. Thanks for joining me. If you're watching this on the replay, please share it with folks that can benefit from the information. Saxophone playing friends, woodwind playing friends, band directors. Okay, it's really important for band directors to be able to help their students do those mouthpiece exercises I mentioned. Okay, these resources, they're great things for your students. Definitely tell them about the amazing slow downer and best practice and other types of things. And I think it'll be great. So check me out, DonnaSchwartzMusic.com. Sign up, get your freebies, and check me out next week, same time, same station, Facebook.com/DonnaSchwartzMusic for this Facebook Live, the next session. Any questions? Go to the Facebook page, put them down, and I'll answer them. Thanks for joining me. Take care. Have a great day.